We're live.
Hello, everyone. We are in for such a treat today at the TEDx Boca Raton LinkedIn Live. I'm here with my co-host, Joy McAdams, who I think everyone knows, one of our amazing TEDx speakers. And she's doing her, oh my gosh, her workout and prep for her Ironman, and we're going to get into that. But we have some incredibly special guests today. Jason Waller, who was our TEDx speaker in 2022. Is that right, Jason?
That's correct. I think it was March or February of 2022. Yeah.
Yeah, and Jason rocked the stage too. And Jason has an exciting announcement about a reality show they're going to be doing, and with his family called Bam Fam. So we have Liz here, Jason's wife, and Hannah, Jason's daughter.
Hi.
And I think Kenzie's joining us too. So we'll just jump in. I'm going to let Joy take over, and then we'll make the intros again. So hand it off to Jason, and he can tell us about the show.
Sure. You want me to just hand it off to Jason? Is that what you're saying?
No, I wanted you to just tell everybody a little bit about what you're up to. Remember, we were going to, just what you're up to, and then you can hand it off to Jason. But I know you just came from working out, and you've been doing your 6-hour workouts.
I'm just so ready for this race. It's the countdown begins. I have a half Ironman this next weekend, just kind of to sharpen everything up. But October 14th, the big day in Kona, Hawaii. It's the first time they're ever doing an all-weather race in Hawaii, so it's going to be historical as well. So excited to be a part of that. I'll also be letting everybody know about a project I'll be doing in Maui that I'm still putting together before I hop over to race in Kona, just to give back to the people who lost everything in fires. But yeah, exciting stuff. But yeah, I apologize. I had another big session today, and you get what you get. So that's why I'm still here, showed up with my hair wet, but excited to be here, excited to hear more about Jason and his family and this reality show they have coming up. So Jason, let's jump right in. Tell us all about it.
Well, hey, first of all, congrats. I know we talked before on the podcast, which we have to redo because the audio on it was rough. I know you were in a bad spot, so we definitely got to redo that. But you're there. You're about to kick some butt, I assume, right?
I hope so.
Well, good. And I know we talked a little bit about aliens. So this here's Zara. Zara's here visiting from a special planet. Brought Zog with Zara. Zara likes Arby's, in case anybody wanted to know, but Zara's here in the studio all the time. But super excited about announcing our reality TV show, Bam Fam. Really, it's a look into entrepreneurial growth and advancement and loss, losing $1 billion company, losing $400 million, getting death threats, how it affects the family, how the dynamic and chaos really pushes you to not quit and to really have that buffalo, mindset instead of that cow mindset of what running from the storm, but going through the storm. And, I've been blessed with having a support mechanism to allow me to build 4 different companies from the ground up, 3 being worth over 10 million, 1 being worth $1 billion, but then losing it and costing everything and starting over. And how did that affect our family? Our one daughter in Alabama and our one daughter with her 2 kids, and she's a single mom. My wife, who has to try to coordinate and keep everything together so nobody jumps off a bridge and goes crazy. My son, my other daughter, who's trying to double down and finish school early so we can move. Like, lots of chaos that happens. And so we get to bring that, to fruition here. Scheduled to come out on Amazon in December of this year. So we've been filming. We filmed a lot in Turks and Caicos, and then we had camera crews filming at the house. And half of my family is really like, I got this. They've got a lot of swag. And then half is like, please don't film me. And that's like in the show. And there's real arguments. It's not scripted. I'm known to not really get emotional. I'm kind of built like rock. There's a spot that I get, at least so far, that was like bawling, and my wife gets upset. I'm sure she'll talk about it, that I don't cry, but I cry in this, little things like that, and the dynamic of the relationships of personality and emotion, of where some people are made to comfort and some people are made for solution. So a lot of the show's about that as well.
And Jason, having a big family myself, I think that would be like such a nightmare at times to have somebody there living the interactions, because it's the real deal. All these different humans, so many different personalities. It's like a petri dish of all the personalities there are, right? When you have a big family blending together and just putting yourselves out there like for everybody to see. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, we're like you. We have people who would be like, I don't want to be on camera at all. And then there's the other ones that are like, yeah, bring it on.
So half the family's a narcissist. I claim I'm not one of them. The other half, it isn't. I think I joined the isn't, but I think the three here would disagree. And then the other dynamic that's really chaotic and interesting is trying to piece together everything with your family and what it's like to live a lifestyle of having all these things. And half our kids, we didn't have anything. Like, we were never given anything. We had to earn it, and having a certain lifestyle, and then that kind of changing and having to restart. And it's interesting in how, like, each one of the kids has their own personality. My wife has her own personality, and at work, I'm the boss. I'm the guy who makes things happen. Then when I go home, it's kind of like the Osbournes. Like, I check everything out at the door, and then me and my son are playing zone against these ladies, and we're usually losing because they run the show. Am I right, girls?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And you are a narcissist, by the way.
For sure. You're a peacock.
Step one, being a narcissist, they can't admit they're a narcissist, and that's one of your biggest downfalls. Just so we can clear the air there.
And then London joined us as she's driving from school. She's trying to double down on her junior and senior year. And she's one that does not want to be on film all the time. And so a lot of that emotion kicks into the show, where she's kind of a bully. Like, she's not kind of, she is a bully. I think Hannah and Mackenzie, her two sisters, actually registered her true story on bully.com because she's super aggressive. And so even the camera people were like scared to film her because she was giving them a hard time. Am I right, London? As I think she's frozen and driving.
Yeah. No, she needs to, like, pull over.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, we hear you.
I can't hear anybody.
We've heard such great things about you. And it's so funny. Like, the more I get to know everyone in the family, it's like, I cannot wait to watch this show, because there's so many, like Joy said, so many different personalities, but like so much. The beauty that I see is the connection between everyone, no matter what. It's just, and you can see it. You can see, everything I've seen so far, the little clips and the dynamics, and even listening to the podcast, you can hear, you guys are in each other's corner, even though it's kind of crazy. Just like, every family in some way. It's just, with so many people, it's exciting to see and watch. So maybe we could share, Liz, you want to tell us a little bit about, little sneak peek behind the scenes about maybe one of your favorite scenes so far?
I definitely open up and become very emotional in one of the scenes. I never really talk about my past or my childhood, and I have kind of a crazy one, I would say, not an everyday one. So I do actually open up about that because one of my daughters, Kenzie, who's 19, actually has, like, lots of problems with my dad. And my dad, he did go to prison for 13 years of my life. So I never talk about that. I was writing a book. I'm not done yet. It's kind of a long process, but I actually do open up about that. And I do see her side, his side. And as a parent, just, things hurting your feelings, and you want always your children to be happy and not have pain and hurt. So that's kind of a very emotional scene for us. So I think that'll be something good. I hope it helps just even one person to understand that, every family goes through struggles, and just because, you have a different background doesn't mean you can't find some common ground with your grandparent or parent. So I think that's a good scene for sure.
Yeah, the more I learn about your story too, I can't wait to hear. Well, tell us a little bit more about your book, and a little bit, I know Jason's story, but maybe Jason, you can jump in, because you guys, basically fell in love as teenagers and had Hannah when you were teenagers, and it was like this incredibly emotional story. And then Jason has shared that your upbringing, and based on what you just shared, I mean, has been really incredible. So I feel like just getting glimpses of that through the show and through your book, it's really going to inspire others, because you really have been through incredible, even in the last year, from what I've seen, incredible ups and downs.
Yeah. And I think the biggest part is understanding that we're humans too. Local people or people that lived in the markets that we were in for doing solar, they're very familiar, I think, with Jason's face, because he was all over it. It was like, "Rawr, hey, I'm Jason." So I think, it's a turn off for some people, and some people love him. It's always like that with everything you do. I was always, the person that, I love his energy. I think he brings so much to the world. And I think if you get to know him, he's a really great person. Sometimes people don't see that. I talk about that in my book. I'm about 10 chapters in, still writing. Just talking about like everyday life, that people have struggles. Just because everything seems fine, it's not always fine behind the scenes. It's a road to get there. It's definitely not like an elevator. When Jason says, take the steps, not the elevator, it's very true. I mean, it takes time to get to places. And just even struggles of depression that I've had. Like I said, had a bad childhood. Had issues with my parents. I ran away all the time. I got pregnant. I had an abortion. I had my daughter at 17 with Jason. Finished high school. It was definitely hard for both of us. And then suicide of, attempting suicide on my own life, just because of severe depression that I dealt with on a daily basis, of not knowing who I am, and having issues as a young person with not having a father around, and having a mom that, was not there like she should have been. So it talks about all of those things. And I think the biggest part of when I was asked by the ghostwriter of like, what is your goal when you're writing this book? And I think to let young people know, or adults or older people, that we all have struggles in our life, and we all have to go through it. And there's light at the end of the tunnel. And there's resources too. Reach out to someone, talk to someone, tell someone how you're feeling, because I think that's the biggest part. Is people always sometimes feel like they have to struggle in silence, and you don't have to. There's other people that are going through it. And I'm a big person in believing in mental health and getting help. And even if that's medication, that's okay. Whatever you need to do to get through the day and to make yourself feel better and know that you're worth someone's, time or the effort or whatever it is, to say, I should love myself enough. So.
No, that's such a beautiful and important message. And I know Joy and I have talked about this too, just, raising kids in a world that's so tough right now too. And I feel like, I don't think people give enough credit to, everything, from a wife that has had to stand by and, be behind the scenes with Jason, or any wife that is the mom and wife of a businessman doing a lot of crazy things in the world, right? That just like is out there, and being a TEDx speaker, and being an author, and building an incredible business. And then, having to hold the fort back at home, and then again, with your background, it's a lot. And I know that, we talk about just juggling, I would say regular stuff, right? And you guys are just like juggling so many dynamics every single day. And I know that I don't know if Kinsey's able to hop on or speak, but maybe you can speak to this, Liz, because I know she went through something really scary recently. And this is something else. I feel like there's so many lessons here with what's going on in the world with mental health, with social media, with, what kids are exposed to. And certainly as a mom, I just sent my daughter off to school, at college for her first year. And she's been there for literally a month, and she had a hurricane already and COVID. And so it's like craziness. But maybe you can just share a little bit about that too, because I feel like that's also something that can inspire others to kind of like pull together and get through things.
My daughter Kenzie, she wasn't able to be on today. She's actually in Chicago visiting her boyfriend. So, but she's always been the light of the family, like as in just a carefree life, no stress. She was never like a person to be anxious or scared of anything. And I always admire that in her. It was always something I yearned to be like, but never. I'm scared of my own shadow. So, she was at a childhood friend's home, and they were just having some drinks, hanging out about dinner time. And she got some type of she got fentanyl in her drink, or she touched it. It was there. We're not really sure how it came in contact with her, but she OD'd. They had to revive her on the scene. Thank God there was one child there that was in medical school. So she was actually doing CPR to the point of almost breaking my daughter's ribs. She just stopped breathing and foaming at the mouth. And so my oldest daughter, Hannah, who's on today, was actually on the scene, and she called 911, and they came, and she was, alive, but she was non-responsive at that point. The girl got her back breathing, and she was stable in the ambulance, but they were smacking her and shaking her and doing all types of things. And I was just like, I don't understand what's going on, because they just had some drinks. At this point, we didn't know that it was any kind of drug related thing. So by the time they got to the hospital, the doctor, saw her, and he goes, I gave her Narcan. And I was like, why? He goes, she had OD'd. I had touched her eyeball. I had smacked her around. She was stable, but non-responsive. I couldn't get her to do anything. So he said, as soon as I gave her the shot of Narcan, he goes, she just woke right up. And she was so intoxicated because she didn't realize she had, drank as much alcohol. She was really not there. She didn't realize any of it. And so after that has happened, it has been a very long road for her. Her light has dimmed very much. And I hate that for her. I think that's the thing that, I'm so grateful that she is okay and that she is safe. I don't know what I would have done if that would have played out very differently. It would not have been very good at all. I can't imagine for parents that lose a child to any circumstance. They should never have to bury their child. So that's emotional for me. Sorry. But I definitely, I see a difference in her. She struggles in public. She struggles at school. She struggles to get out of bed. She has lots of depression and anxiety, and she's terrified of people even touching her at this point. But what I have learned is fentanyl is everywhere now. And I think it's very important that you talk to your children about it. And I think that now we all carry Narcan in our car, because I think, like, what if you were to see someone that's ODing in a car? Because it's very common now that people get a hold of drugs they think they got from their friend, and it's going to be fun or whatever it is, or maybe they do have an addiction and they OD. So, I think it's a bigger situation than I ever realized that's going on out in the world now. And so it's just dangerous. It's very scary as a parent, especially them being at college, because she's 6 hours away from me. So if something happens, I'm like, I can't just be there. And I think as a parent, that is, you throw on just going to college and then an OD and all of those things, you get very nervous for them.
Oh, it's so scary. And it's interesting because, being that we're on the TEDx channel, someone had reached out about, he started a nonprofit with Narcan
it should be everywhere.
Narcan.
It should be, yes, it should be on every shelf. Everyone should have access to it every single day. I still feel like there should be clinics out there for people that are struggling with drugs and have access to clean needles, even though I would never want my child to be addicted to drugs, but unfortunately that's reality. But I would want, if that was my child, to have a safe environment to go. And in those moments that they're in these clinics getting supplies, two things could happen. One, they're talking to people there and trying to help the people that are going through the drug addictions. And two, they're getting Narcan for free and putting it in their bags, and say, somebody, their friend or whatever, is ODing at some point later on, they have that to save them. So I think there needs to be more resources and more education and all of that stuff out there. There's just not enough.
No, I completely agree. And I know, Joy and I have talked about this a lot, just the things as a parent, like what we think about and what we worry about. And Joy has 5. So maybe Joy, you want to jump in here, but I know that there's so many issues, but that's like such a scary one. And I feel like it is something, like you said, Liz, that so many people need to be educated more about it. And it's not until it like comes into your world. And we've had, a couple of family friends that unfortunately have been through similar, incidences. And again, unbeknownst to the kids, like they didn't even know that this was happening. And sometimes I don't want to say it's innocent, but sometimes it's like, it's laced, or people are sharing things they don't know what it is, and it's just the world we live in, and it's a scary thing. And between drugs and social media, and it is something that one of the things, again, with TEDx, I'm just so passionate about, like, sharing and getting messages out, and helping to educate people, whether it's about suicide prevention or anything that can help other people. And it sounds like the show Bam Fam is going to have so many elements of that too, so many different dynamics, which with each of your stories, because each of you has such an incredible story and things that you've all sort of been through.
Yeah, for sure. I have London on here. London is she is an 11th grader, so she's a junior senior this year. She took a lot of summer courses this year to go ahead and finish up and doing honors this year. Not sure what college we're going to go to yet, London, right?
I can't hear anything.
Oh.
We're happy you're here, London. Yes, we heard that you're like I'm going to say, like, from back in the day when I was growing up, the growing pains, Alex Keep Eaton, you're the smarty pants of the family, right? Michael J. Fox.
I think she's frozen for some reason. I'm sorry.
And I think, I think the stars of the show actually would be Hannah's kids, right, Hannah? I mean, talk about how you're actually running a frat house at home with 2 kids, our grandkids, which they actually run everything. Am I right, Hannah?
Yeah, they run my whole life. Like I installed those hand sanitizer dispensers that they have at the hospital right at my front door because they're so sticky and disgusting. They come home with just like their hands are permanently gross. So I do have like a frat house. Like every time my mom or my dad comes and visits, like it's never quiet. Someone is like running around. Someone has a boo-boo. Someone's naked. Like it's just too much at my house. So I think they're going to be a big star for sure.
Oh my gosh, I know Lil. I've seen a little bit clips of her on different stories on Instagram and on social media, and she is so spunky. Oh my gosh, she's 4, right? I mean, she just 3. Oh my goodness, yeah. She's definitely going to be like one of the breakout stars, I think, of the show. Give Jason a run for his money, right?
Oh, listen, I'm not even third place for sure. She's definitely got 1. They're all fighting for second and third. I guarantee it.
What's really funny is like she really does give him a run for his money because me and my mom went to Rooms to Go the other day, and she wants a new bed. That's it. She told me that her bed is not beautiful or enough, and she needs a new bed. And so we were like, you're going to have to FaceTime. We call him the counsel. We call my dad the counsel because you never really know who you're going to get. So it's kind of like a board. You might get nice Jason. You might get like character Jason. You might get cranky Jason. You never really know. So we're like, you're going to have to FaceTime the counsel. And he was like, oh, well, maybe Christmas. But she was like, that's not a good idea. So we're ordering the bed soon because she made that call. But my dad melts when it comes to Lily. Like he's just like
that's
butter.
his favorite. That's his favorite, Hannah, for sure.
No, I know.
For sure.
You're my favorite. You know that, right? Yes, she does know that.
Yeah, so I've got a cartoon tattoo of all 4 of my kids. It's really Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Tigger, and Eeyore, and it's a very, very custom, unique tattoo that like I had to get customized. That explains things. I wish I could show it better, but I'm not very good at this. So anyways, so I gotta go this way. So with it, Hannah is Pooh Bear because she's clingy to her mom. She has separation anxiety just like Pooh Bear does. London is Piglet because she has social anxiety, like big time. That's why she's like, I can't hear nobody. She's probably lying. Okay. Kinsey has narcolepsy and kind of like Eeyore, just wants to sleep and is down. And then Christian is bouncing off the walls all the time and has ADD. He's Tigger. So I got all their names on these playing cards of these characters. However, Lily, every time she sees it, which is every day she comes over, Papa, so where are you going to put me? Can I be a baby Pooh Bear or Winnie the Pooh? Where are you going to put me? I need to be bigger than them. So that's what I get from her.
She's definitely a baby Tigger.
Rue. It's Rue, I think.
Yeah.
I love it. So tell us how the reality show came to be, and maybe just like some little snippets so people can get excited about it and tune in.
Well, some people reached out to us right after we closed with everything going on. A couple videos went viral, and they said, hey, do you want to do a documentary on this? I'm like, listen, we've got a huge $1 billion lawsuit against Generac. There's lawsuits flying every which way, our direction, their direction. Now's not the time to do anything. They're like, well, you should really do a show that when you want to, maybe early next year, you go out and since you're going to coach business and entrepreneurs, help companies. We did bar rehab. Why don't you do something like that? So that was the initial start. So in February, March, we started that. Then when some footage came of the family, they were like, hold on. Nope. We need to do a reality TV show because your family is bat crap crazy. Like they're nuts. That's chaos. We can show a little bit of how you run a business and you do all these things, but we got to get some of that. That is not normal. And if it is normal, people aren't as extraordinary and chaotic as you guys are, especially every day. 'Cause things just follow us. Last night, Liz ran over a snake with a Lamborghini. You can't make this up. Things just happen. A snake is at Hannah's house. She calls, I'm not going to deal with the snake. It's just not going to happen. So Liz is like, oh, I'll go deal with it. We got a friend over from California. I'm like, all right, I'll stay here. They videotaped it. Liz drove over the snake with a Lamborghini. Who does that? Like, why is that even normal? And it's not. And so these kind of things happen and they're just crazy. And I think it's because, I kind of grew up crazy. Yeah, you could see her driving right there and the snake's there. So needless to say, the show came about. They're like, we got to do this Bam Fam show. It allowed me to change my podcast from True Underdog to Bam podcast. And I changed it to Unleashed, where I can talk about aliens and graham crackers and politics and family and whatever I want. Right. And it's been more fun. It's been more open. I haven't been chained in or leashed into where I have to follow protocol. And so it's allowed to open that up. And this has been exciting. I mean, and what you're going to see is you're going to see, how people can build it. The problem is if it's just a business show, only business people watch. So it's got to be a family reality TV show where everybody's drawn in. You've got teenagers, you've got single moms, you've got my wife who, she's being humble about her childhood. She slept in a bathtub for 2 years. It is as dark as it gets. Okay. So you got all this mixed into me who's a little off, but super high energy and ready to crush it, never quits, doing these business things, coming home. And then now I see Liz juggling all this stuff and I don't get a say so at home as much as I'd like to think. So you see these real battles of things going on in life. And I think it'll show appreciation. I think it'll show education. It'll talk about mental awareness, but it's really funny. It's humorous. I think it's like Modern Family meets,
The Real Housewives.
The Real Housewives meets Duck Dynasty because you've got a business in there all in one, right? And so it's chaotic and it's real. It's authentic. It's not scripted. Like we don't have anything scripted. People called me. It's true. They're like, did you really get stranded, in Turks? And the answer was yes. Now, the only thing that was scripted in that is it was actually London who got stranded in Turks the day before the cameras got there, and it was a problem. And of course, London, the gray cloud follows her and something breaks down. And so that's what happened with her. And then her boyfriend dumped her while we were there. And so she told us and the camera crew, I'm not reliving that. I'm not doing it. He just dumped me. I'm out. So me and Christian had to go out there and break down. And they filmed it. So that, the stories are real, but sometimes you got to reenact. And that's how reality TV is. Oh, that happened yesterday. You need to reenact that. But they just follow us around with the cameras a lot. And it's exhausting, but it's also fun to see my family come out of their comfort zone because I've always been out of my comfort zone. I'm just that person. So it's good for me to see them do that. I think that's important. Like my son said it yesterday. He's like, you're not like most parents, like most parents, won't allow their kids to have this or won't allow them to have this. And you're like, look, I'm going to allow you to have it. And if you hang yourself, you're done. And therefore, when something bad happens, they're used to it. We weren't like that with Hannah. She'll be the first to tell you, she talks about in the show. We were overly strict. So when she turned 17, I mean, the tires were on fire, her screeching to go run and do bad stuff. It was a problem. So we kind of got a little looser on Kinsey, more loose on London. And now Christian kind of just does whatever. And they get mad. And they always talk.
We call it the first marriage and the second marriage. So like me and Mackenzie like would never talk to my parents or do the things that they do to my parents, because we know that they, like, my parents, like, no, like they would not tolerate that when we were kids. But like London and Christian, like they do anything they want to do. Like at like Christian will buy like 4 AirPods, like things of AirPods, and just be like, oh, I just wanted some. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, could you imagine? Like, no, my dad lets Christian do whatever. He was going to start his own landscaping company. Christian was. My dad's over here and buys him a lawnmower, buys him a leaf blower, buys him a weed eater or whatever, and literally
weed whacker,
whatever. Didn't even start it. Nothing. He just has all this. Like, and my dad's not going to mow the lawn. He's never mowed the lawn. So
Hannah, I used to mow the lawn, and your mom used to weed eat. No, she used to mow. I used to weed eat.
Okay.
That's
I was
right.
going to say, I'm sure that's part of the journey, because as teenage parents, you probably didn't start with a lot and you had to build. That's the other beautiful thing is, you know, just kind of sharing the ups and downs and, you know, the growth mindset. And I know Joy talks about that a lot. And there's probably so many like educational components and probably a lot of ideas worth spreading in TED Talks inside, like hundreds of them inside the reality show that we could like dig into. Yeah, because even from what we've talked about today on this, you know, little clip with parts of Liz's story, I just feel like, oh my goodness, like, and think about like just over the past couple years, like, you know, even when things are successful, it's stressful. And then when they're not, it's like all of a sudden you have to rebuild and you have to pivot. And, you know, and I know that, you know, even with Joy talking about like she started her first Ironman, right? 4 years ago. Is that right, Joy? And then you talk about this in your TED Talk and just how, you know, you're through focus and dedication and commitment, you're now, is this your 13th? Or maybe you just speak to that a little.
Yeah, no, it's just consistency. I mean, I think the reason I just got so drawn in is like Jason was saying, you learn that, you know, in order to grow, you have to put yourself in a state of being uncomfortable. And then, you know, initially what transforms is when you keep showing up, all of a sudden that uncomfortable, when you see the results, when you see growth, it turns into, you know, this isn't just about being uncomfortable. This is about the fact that I could really grow here, right? I'm growing now. I'm not just trying to see if I can do this. I'm here to win, right? I'm here to take over. I'm here to give it my best shot. And you know, it just grows and you lose that, you know, obviously being able to interview the top professionals and Olympians, taking in all that mindset too of, you know, reframing that we're not fragile, right? We're here to be resilient. But it's the story you tell yourself in your mind, so much effect on your outcome. And at the end of the day, you know, you learn to also reframe. It's about the journey more than just that, you know, getting the win or not getting the win. It's appreciating the journey. That's the win. That's the true win. And I think that's kind of what we're going to see throughout your show, is that, you know, it's embracing every day, you know, not just putting like, once we get here, it'll be successful. It's learning about, you know, appreciating the everyday and enjoying the journey.
No, well said. I agree. That process is important. And I think that's, we don't realize it till you start to learn and get the wisdom from the failing and the battles. And you're like, oh, I get it now. This happened for this. I understand it now. I can beat this now. So yeah, I think you'll see a lot of that. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to see this. And you're saying you said December or what?
Yeah. So it should come out for Christmas. So in December on Amazon, unless a different network picks it up. There are some things going on, but as of right now, it's on Amazon, and there's a preview there that's not all the way done. That's a very raw version 1 that you could see the preview, but that will continue to be edited into the final trailer. So you can go on there and kind of see. It's like a 5-minute clip of different scenes. The executive producer and the director, they have about 70 hours worth of footage, and they've gone through about a third of it. So they're piecing something together that people can see as it goes along. Because there's been a big, hey, what's all this about? Let's see. So he's just trying to keep updating a 5-minute clip in there and then shrink it down eventually to a really good trailer. So it's pretty cool. You can see some of the stuff in there. It's fun.
Exciting. So exciting.
Yeah. And also like just what we were sharing about, just being parents, right? The journey of being parents and also weaving in life and business. And I know, Jason, with you and your True Underdog podcast, now your Unleashed podcast, you've spoken with so many incredible entrepreneurs over the years too, that I'm sure you've learned from, like Joy was mentioning with, speaking with the top athletes. There's no way that you could, chat with all these different people and you and both of you too, as TEDx speakers and leaders and people that, have basically, created an incredible, Joy talks a lot about meant for more, and just keep going, right? Whatever comes your way, it's like overcoming those obstacles and adversity. And I think the other beautiful thing is, as I mentioned, the dynamic of family and how, because not every family is, number one, has been through those types of things and also has been there, to, support. So, I mean, just even what Liz had mentioned about, her upbringing, that's really tough. And that's why I think so many people will learn and feel incredibly blessed, and also, admire what, where you've been, where you're going, where you've come from, and what you've overcome. And you too, Jason. I mean, it's just a journey.
No, well said.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, how do you want, Jim? Do you want to put on the screen again the link to the show, and then we'll just keep everyone posted with this, and we'll probably have another one of these just to give everyone updates with the, the trailer, because I know that's going to be coming soon, right, Jason?
Yeah, the trailer will come out soon. Like I said, if you go to the link right now, you can see a 5-minute. That's not a trailer. That's just content in there that kind of gives you an overview. So it was a dump of 5 minutes, as he's seen about 30% of the footage, and they're still editing it. So they're trying to do what usually takes in 4 months. They're trying to do it in 6 weeks. So they're cutting it up fast to get the trailer done, get the first 3 episodes done, and go from there. So it's super exciting. I do love that Hannah brought up Christian and the lawn mowing thing. I forgot about that. Like, he's a little entrepreneur. He's 13. He buys shoes, sells shoes. He's like asking me, Dad, if I go and mow lawns, and this is for all the entrepreneurs out there, if I go and mow lawns, like, if I want to go mow another person's lawn, wouldn't I just go do that? Why would I want to hire more people and take away my profit? And I had to say, son, listen, you can go out and get 100%. How many homes do you think you can do in a day? 3. Okay. Well, what if I told you can do 9? And you made 100% on your 3, but you made 50% on the other 6. Isn't it worth it? Well, yeah. Well, that is scaling your business. So he didn't understand that it clicked for him. So he's getting all his friends, like Hannah said, and they're all like, we're going to go knock doors and mow all these lawns. Now, the neighborhood we live in, they ain't going to get to mow no lawn. So they're like, look, we got somebody professionally do it. So, we're like, all right, we'll take you somewhere else, figure it out. We didn't. That was a wasted time. I don't even know what we did with the mower. Do you have the mower, Hannah? Oh, 'cause I know you ain't mowing anything.
No. I'm my father's daughter. I don't get my hands dirty. That's for sure. I'm not gonna get my hands dirty. Pay somebody else to do that. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's the mower?
I gave it away.
The secret's out.
Yeah. It was collecting dust in our garage. So I traded it for some painting.
Oh.
And, yeah.
At least you bartered it. It's good. Get
Yeah.
something out of it.
Yeah.
Didn't go complete waste. But for all the young entrepreneurs out there, you got to teach your kids stuff like that. If they yearn to learn, some kids don't want to learn and they're stuck in their way, and you got to do it on their time. Some kids yearn to learn. You got to teach them when they want to learn. If you force it, they don't listen. And if they don't want to learn, you can't do anything about it. But when they're asking, you got to take the time and just go over it with them. I think that's made a big difference with at least his mindset of what he's wanting to do. And he spends a lot of time with me in the morning. So he asks me all kinds of questions about business.
Yeah, and I think how could you not learn about it when you're watching it every day, right? I mean, seeing what you're doing and seeing the ups and downs. I know kids are just I know it was wonderful. I'm just like watching Joy at the TEDx, sitting there with her kids watching, that was incredible because they see their mom on a stage and doing these incredible things at
And the Iron Man thing she's doing is no joke. The guy I coach football with in my son's team, his wife does it, not on the scale you do it, Joy, but like she does it. And you told me about it. Like explain so my wife and daughter know exactly what this consists of, because this is big time. This ain't like some small like workout. This is something you couldn't pay me enough money to do. But go ahead.
You could do. Well, for example, my weekday workout yesterday was 6 hours and 44 minutes long. Yeah. And you would think after that, oh, today's a rest day. Oh, today we got up and we ran, and the rest of this weekend, that's just the week. So the weekend is where we build to like double that. So yeah, it's pretty insane. But yeah, so the Ironman World Championship will be in Kona. You start off with a 2.4 miles ocean, and then you ride a 112-mile bike ride up to Hobby. You climb, and then you run through the lava fields for a full marathon. So it's just it's getting to the point where you can do all of that. It's the nutrition, it's the recovery, and then I'm no young either. I'm 48, so I really focus on the recovery as well to be able to keep bouncing back. So if I could just survive the training, that's actually the win right there. To be able to show up healthy is a big part of it. But yeah, I'm excited. And then there's just a lot of mental in that as well. I didn't know how to do any of this when I first started, so the mental part of it is where I've really just appreciated the win and overcoming when the body says stop, teaching your mind that the mind's in control, not the body. So yeah, it's a little crazy, but I do enjoy it. But yeah, we'll get you out there in some way, shape, or form, Jason.
She said, by the way, Liz and Hannah, 2.4 miles you got to swim in the ocean. Like I ain't even going 0.4 miles in the ocean swimming.
I don't even think
I would pay to watch you train for that, Jason. Like I would be your number one supporter of like
I would make a GoFundMe account.
Yes, make
my
shirts
car.
and all. Like
Just to watch you do like not like just even like a quarter of it.
Or like a half. We can train for the half. The half is half of all. Jason.
I'm with her. I say yes.
But by the way, that's a gangster move, Joy. Like that's tough to do.
Yes,
So I gave you kudos.
yes.
Like when you told me what that was when you were on my show, I was like, dear God, like I can't even fathom that, let alone you're out there doing that.
I've got the women on my side. They want to see you suffer.
Yes. Yes.
We have to do a training up and coming before the one training day, right?
Yeah, because Jason goes to the gym every day. But I tell him all the time, I'm like, do you work out? Do you? I mean,
I'm on the phone a lot, or I'm checking their commode. I'm guilty as charged. On the phone or checking their commode, I'm guilty as charged.
so I would love to see him take on that challenge. I mean, I really think that is a great idea.
You just want to see me have pain.
I
Me
do.
and Mom, because me and Mom are the quitters of the family. I would love to see you finish that.
Yes.
I would love to not you don't even have to do the whole thing, just at least you show up. I'd like to see that for sure.
Yes, agree.
I'm on that.
We'll get them hooked up. I'll find some local people to get you started, and then I'll have to come in and crack the whip on you a little bit with the women there helping me.
Oh my goodness.
Going. This was everybody likes a journey, Jason.
Yeah.
Did I tell you guys that I have this alien, Zara? Zara's magical, okay? I talk to aliens now. You guys don't want to mess with me. I'm telling you. They got spells and stuff they do.
No, you're right about it's not for the faint of heart what Joy's doing. Like, I think that everybody
It's impressive, though. It is majorly impressive.
Oh my gosh, impressive. But I don't even think physically, like, I think
it's mental. The physical part, she's right. It's the mental to not quit because your body's not going to want to do a tenth of that. So you're mentally pushing yourself for like 90%. Am I right?
Yeah, no, it's so mental. And it's funny when you see these people who show up and win the world championship. If you were to spot any airporter, there's nothing physically that would stand out to you like a player or a baseball player, nothing like that. And so it would be so hard to look at the line and say who's going to win. You don't know, because it really so much comes down to who's going to be mentally the strongest that day and not give in. And yeah, it would be a great journey for you, Jason. It really would. And honestly, I'm telling you, I'm going to stand up for you. You've got that fight mindset. You've got that, like it recharges you, challenge and obstacles. And so I really think as you got into it, you would just fuel that and really, really use that to your advantage. It would just be kicking your body into your mindset that you have. So imagine if you can get your body at the same level as your mind. What a rock star.
Yeah.
My trainer says exactly that. He's like, if you put as much energy as you do to build a business and no quit in your body, you would look 10 times better. And I'm like, are you trying to say something here? So, but and he's a huge bodybuilder, right? And so, but you're right, and I know that's what it is, and it's priorities. Right? It's priorities. It's how bad you want something. And I have an addictive personality. If I did do something like that, you're right. I'd want to be addicted to trying to win. And it's oh my goodness. And so maybe trust me, I've ventured off to do a little bit. Like I did yoga, then I did Pilates. I know it's not the same, but I'm playing in waters I'm trying to get used to.
Yeah. No,
it's a huge commitment. I think about it like
hours.
Of 6 and 7 hours a day. I mean, I think this is the most you've ever trained, Joy. Am I right? For anyone?
My happy place is the happy, since it's just more doable. But when you qualify for Kona, you can't pass it up, right? And then if you're going to show up, you want to show up, right? So I've really been, putting my all into I just want a strong day, obviously. That's it. Wherever I place, as long as I get through and I'm like, I gave it my best shot. That's all I want.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah. Just before we close, it reminded me of, everyone here knows, I know Jason and Joy know Chris from Fit Team, and he just sponsored a woman she was doing it to raise money and awareness for cystic fibrosis, but she broke 2 world records for burpees. And she did over 800 burpees in 1 hour, and it's chest to floor burpees. So that's no joke. And then she did, I think, almost 4,000 burpees in 8 hours. So she broke 2 world records. I was like, think about it. Joy, you could probably do it because you're in that athletic, mode.
Great.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
It's incredible.
I can do about 12 burpees in an hour. Give or take.
I know, but she said the same thing, Joy. It was really the mindset. Just kept going, and something bigger than you, right? It's not just about, you crossing that finish line or getting that, world's record. It's, and it's your family too. And I know you talked about that in your TED Talk. And you too, Jason, you had so many great, little success stories and inspirational moments in your TED Talk as well. So I know you talked about, maybe we could close with that donkey story, because that was really good.
Yeah, that's been you remember that story, Joy? I think I brought it up, didn't I? The donkey and the tiger. And obviously Liz and Hannah hear it all the time now, because I'm in love with that story. You don't hear it every day.
It feels like every day.
The TED Talk was about the buffalo mindset, which now I've actually converted, because I'm getting ready to speak at Dan Locke's event next week. And I've actually got into becoming the storm. I can tell that story real quick. You have to become the storm. So in life, we have anxiety, we have depression, we have fear, we have all these things that hit us in life, right? Where we're insecure or we think we're not going to make it. And all these things follow us like a storm. And usually, I've talked about it before, when a storm's coming, if you think or have the mentality of a cow, you're running from the storm. And the problem with that is now that anxiety, that pressure, that fear, that depression, that inadequate feeling that you have, that insecurity feeling that you have, just haunts you longer and longer and longer and controls you. Where if you act like a buffalo, which I've always preached about, and you're like, you know what? A buffalo runs right through that storm. That it punches the anxiety in the mouth. It punches the depression. It goes through the fear. It puts it all to the side and gets through that battle to hit a blessing. It punches through to get back to the sunshine and get the storm behind it. But sometimes in life, and I feel like in most of my life, I've always had this buffalo mentality. And I talked about it in the TED Talk. But then what happens when you've come through everything you can, like I just did with the closing of Pink Energy and losing $400 million in $1 billion company closing and 40,000 customers lost and upset and 2,400 employees let go? What happens? What do you do now? And the thing is you're lost. There's no storm. It's silent. You actually have to become the storm. You can't stay stagnant. You can't just let things sit there. You've got to be a disruptor. You've got to create action and emotion and get things moving. And so that's what I had to do. I left when the company closed. I left super angry. For 90 days, I was just battling through this storm. And then I was lost. And I was like, what do I do now? And in life, we hit that to where we don't know. It's not about fear and anxiety. Sometimes you just go blank. At least for me, it did. And I know people go through this. They get up, they're like, where am I going today? What am I doing today? What's next for me today? What's my identity look like today? And that to me is becoming the storm. You have to create all of those things going on and become that storm for your life, for your map to create for you to follow it.
I love it. That's great. And I feel like there's going to be so many components of that in the show, and we can't wait to see it and hear it and be part of it and cheer you along the way. So exciting stuff. And again, just that thread of love and strength through the family. I think it's just incredibly inspirational and so many great lessons and takeaways. So happy that we could hear about it and learn about it and hopefully inspire some future TED speakers out there who might be listening from literally, I mean, I know Jim had put the links, I believe, in the chat, just to let everybody have Joy's TEDx and Jason's TEDx, so you could take a look at those and definitely walk away from with some inspiration. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
We have the link here if anybody wants to learn more about the show, and obviously follow Jason on what's the best place to follow you, Jason?
You can follow me on Instagram, Jason Waller Bam, or you can find me on YouTube. You can find the Bam Fam Show on YouTube.
Okay, awesome. All right, everybody, have a great day. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Good luck, Joy. Go crush it. Thank you, everybody. Go crush it. Thank you.
Bye.